Welcome to Talk to Ya, the father and daughter podcast you've never heard of nor asked for. I'm Ari.
And I'm Aaron.
Happy Fat Tuesday!
Mardi
Happy
Gras.
Mardi Gras!
Yeah, which we've never been to.
Never. I think I'm almost surprised we've never been to New Orleans just because of the foodies we are.
Yeah. I have no intention of going to either Mardi Gras for sure. Like, I never want to go.
I mean, at your ripe age.
Exactly. Maybe when I was younger. Number two, I mean, yeah, New Orleans, it doesn't turn me on. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
I go for the food and the hauntings because,
yeah,
very spiritual, haunted places. There's some witchery going on. So, yeah, I like that. But no, food, I mean, I would go. We travel for food, essentially. And I feel like, I'm limited on my experience in the South, obviously. But that's definitely my go-to place in the South I'd want to go.
Yeah, okay. Well, I lived in the South a little bit for about 8-9 months, as you know, and
That's right.
It's different than it is here. Let me just put it to you that way. And of course, things have changed. That was, early 80s, 81, 82, something like that. So it's changed a lot. It was mostly in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which is also changed since the 80s as well.
I was going to say, yeah, got that right.
To the better, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, so Mardi Gras, what do you know about Mardi Gras?
Well, first things first, it's illegal to not wear a mask on the floats at Mardi Gras. So you have to wear a mask.
And we're not talking about masks that we wear for COVID. We're talking
I wish it was a pandemic consciousness thing, but no, it's actually taken very seriously. So you have to, if you're on that float, you're participating. So, we have some of these losers who don't wear Halloween costumes to Halloween parties.
Yeah.
That type of energy is not allowed at Mardi Gras, okay? We don't.
Gotcha.
We don't do that. You could get arrested, which is, funny because you can drink in the streets. So
right.
More and more, this is sounding like a place I want to go.
Well, at least they have some COVID protection when they're
right. I know, because, listen.
Because they ain't wearing them out in the streets, baby. We know that.
I'm a sprayer, not a sayer. So even one of those masks will help anyone for me. If you want beads, you gotta say, throw me something, mister.
That's the term you use to get the beads? Throw me something, mister?
Which is exactly how I talk to, the bud tenders at dispensaries,
But wait a minute. Very sexist. I mean, why is it mister?
Good point. Mister is one of those terms that obviously is gendered. I wouldn't mind if some kid, some chimney sweep child called me that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like something that hey, mister, you hear it and it's endearing. I almost prefer that over ma'am because ma'am can feel kind of
older?
Yeah, it kind of gives me the feeling of oh, my biological clock is ticking.
Right. All right. Anyway, so so if you want the beads, you got to say, throw me
something, mister.
Okay,
yeah, which, it's provocative to say the least.
Yeah. This thing has something to do with religion, doesn't it? The Mardi Gras.
Yeah. So there's some Christian context that obviously you nor I would really know off the top of our heads. Right. But what I did learn, so the Christian carnival celebrations typically kick off on the Epiphany or the 12th night, which, I didn't know much about Epiphany in general, but what I did learn is that it's typically marked on January 6th every single year. So that's ruined.
January 6th has a completely different meaning now, doesn't it?
That's a dud. Yeah. and I fear many won't care because there were a lot of Christians there on that day.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen.
At least it's not a Jewish holiday because I
Right,
don't know how
exactly.
many Jews were there.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's very interesting.
I mean, yeah. So, in honor of Fat Tuesday, though, I wanted us to, I had an assignment for us, you and me, to pick a favorite snack of ours to show everyone. Because all I know about Fat Tuesday is that it's right before Lent, so you eat all the shit that you're about to not eat for I think 6 weeks?
No idea. But what do you got there?
Not a clue.
What's your little snacky poo?
I have here Nerds Clusters, which honestly, Reagan himself could not administer quick enough. These hit my generation worse than flavored vapes.
Than herpes.
Yeah, no, it's truly like, I mean, these things, they are, first of all, they're like Nerds Rope, if you remember those. They're gummies that are coated in nerds, all the different flavors too. So you get like every flavor. They're incredible. I've eaten bags of these in one sitting.
Uh-huh. And you're bragging about it.
Magnifique. Well, I'm not bragging about it. I think I want to spread awareness because there will be many like me who will see this and feel seen and feel that they too can
they've been recognized.
Reach out. They can reach out and get help for our, because I'm almost scared to share it with you because I feel like I would then turn you into a monster. And you wouldn't be able to stay away from these.
Let's just forget about those. And the only things that we want to talk about are Ritz toasted chips.
Oh.
Sour cream and onion. Unbelievable. They make Ritz crackers look like they never got started. This is one of the best, newest snacks ever.
Put it on the Ritz.
Put it on the Ritz. So anyway, that's my little...
Are those like healthy or are they like whatever?
Oh, I doubt it. I mean, let's see.
They just kind of look a little like, I don't know, the packaging makes it look like there might be some...
Yeah, that's the trick, okay? Total fat, 6 grams, 8%, saturated fats, 5%, cholesterol, nothing, sodium, 12%, no fiber. Yeah, not very good.
So, this is about 100 calories per serving. Serving size, 16 pieces. That's a fucking joke. Total fat, 0 grams. So there's that. I'm a little concerned though. There's also 0 milligrams of cholesterol, but 45 milligrams of sodium.
Okay, wait a minute. 140 calories for 13 chips.
1 gram of protein. I got a gram of protein in here because it's gelatin. It's gelatin.
Yeah, okay.
So, in theory... Oh my god, 21 grams of sugar. Yeah, you are eating healthier than me. I was about to make the argument that I was winning here, but you are definitely winning.
Not happening.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
All right, let's see what else is going on.
Talk to me.
Oh. Raquel Welch.
I know.
Okay. You know, when she started her career, which was in the 60s, very sexist, very misogynist society, much worse than it is now. Basically, gorgeous women, that was a big deal, showing as much as they, that was a big thing. And she was, part of that. But anyway, first of all, Latina, okay. Tejada, Raquel Tejada was her birth
maiden.
name. Her father was born in Bolivia, and he was an aerospace engineer.
Wow. So she's got some genius in her.
Well, wait a minute. Her IQ was 140. Now, the average IQ is like 100.
Yeah.
Okay?
And mine's 40, but continue.
But and a lot of people that we see on the news that are kind of stupid, they're like below that 100, they were 140, so big time IQ.
Yeah.
Very intelligent woman.
Well, a lot of these, you find out a lot of these bombshells are smart, and they're smart because they know how to make money, how to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those things correlate with each other, and certain things, it's not a you can be obvious. I mean, a lot of people, obviously understand at this point. There's, beauty has nothing to do with wits or anything like that. But many take advantage of the beauty that they have, knowing how successful it can make them, and that can have everything to do with their wits.
Well, Farrah Fawcett, perfect example, right?
Right.
And the two things they have in common, they both had tremendously successful posters.
Yep.
Okay, Farrah Fawcett had a poster that was really sexy in those days. It was in a one-piece bathing suit.
Yeah.
Big smile on her face and that big hair.
They're both really good models, and like what takes good modeling is like you have to go out of your body. You have to understand what looks good and understand what poses look good, and not just being told what to do. You have to have that intuitive kind of knowing what's going to work for people. And both those women, I mean, knew how they could make a certain look and it would make everyone go crazy. And they knew exactly what they were doing.
Well, that's right. And Farrah Fawcett, she sold millions and millions and millions of her posters. I don't know how the Raquel Welch posters.
Mm-hmm.
They're going for $295.
Wow.
Okay, and that was this movie that she did. God,
I know.
1,000 years BC, or I don't know, some crazy 6 million BC. But anyway, she a beautiful woman, obviously. I mean, she was beautiful, and she's a very bright woman, and she just didn't really have very many successful movies, believe it or not. In her later years, in her later years, she did have some success.
Yeah, but
here's an interesting little story connection that I have with Raquel Welch.
Talk to me.
When my buddy and I moved down to LA, and we lived in this house in Brentwood for a short period of time, where his girlfriend's parents owned this house, a big house in Brentwood, had a guest house in the back, had a huge swimming pool. I think we talked about this briefly, maybe not. Elevator heading down to the tennis court. So
we know about the elevator.
My buddy and I would get up around 11 o'clock in the morning, right? From the night before. We would go out and we'd play like a set of tennis, and then we'd come back up and hit the pool. And next to that pool was the people that lived in the guest house of the house that we lived in. For some reason, I remember this name. I don't know if this is the guy. This is just what I remember. He was an Italian director, I believe, named Johnny Bizzacchi. And my recollection is that he owned a nightclub on Pico, kind of near the car wash that I go to there on Pico and Beverly. Right. Somewhere up there, there was an Italian restaurant, and he had the club above. But anyway, and when my buddy and I would come up and take a swim, their sunbathing would be Tawny Welch, who is the 62-year-old now, I believe, daughter of Raquel Welch, who at that time was somewhere around 18 years old.
Let's hope it was over.
And the only movie that I know she was in was Cocoon, which is a very famous movie.
Love that movie.
And she was the alien woman in Cocoon.
That's right. That's right.
Very thin, beautiful face, prettier than her mother, I thought. Okay, but a little skinny little thing, and she lived in the guest house there. With my buddy and I lived in the other house, so didn't get to know her. Just hi, Tawny, hi, bye bye.
Right.
Thing that was it. But anyway, a little interesting story about our little friend Raquel.
You need to see the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I feel like that movie was based off of you. In terms of not all the stories directly, obviously, but like it's a story that brings a guy through different eras and phases of Hollywood, and it's usually recreating stories that are well known, or kind of rewriting them. But he lived next to what's her face, who was murdered by Manson, Sharon Tate. and Polanski and Polanski.
Yeah.
And so that was like a whole storyline. But what I'm saying essentially is during the movie, there's so many other interactions that are like other well-known things. And that's just like you. For example, like OJ as well, like we mentioned on the last episode.
All right, we can talk about OJ a little bit.
You're like, fine.
Okay,
let's talk about it.
Let's start here. I got a phone call, 1978 or 9, I can't quite remember. Blah blah blah. From OJ Simpson, who got my number via another real estate salesperson in San Francisco, as I remember. I think that was the connection. I can't really quite remember. But anyway, I remember him saying it was a Sunday, and the guy, he was playing for Buffalo. There was a game, that day. And he calls me up in the morning. Hey, I've been picked up by San Francisco by the 49ers, and I'm coming out to San Francisco, and I want to buy a condominium, and I'm coming out next week. Can you look some stuff up for me and show me some stuff? And I said, okay, what are you looking for? And essentially, he told me, and what he was, the biggest part of it, he didn't want to live in a big condominium building.
Right.
Where there's a whole bunch of people. He wanted more privacy, which we understand why.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yikes.
Anyway, by mere coincidence, at this particular time, I had my club, and it was originally owned by one of the guys that owns the Mel's Drive-Ins, which you have in Los Angeles. They have up here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we had been talking business, this guy and I, and he told me he had this 3 kind of stacked flat Edwardian condominiums, right? So built, right around 1900.
Yeah.
Completely redone. 3 of them, top, bottom, middle, and the upstairs was about 2,000 square feet, as I remember, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, I think, condominium. And based on what he told me, I said, this is a perfect place for OJ.
Right. So
I tell OJ, I'll meet you at this address. And I tell him, you're going to buy this. You're going to buy this one. I tell him, you're going to buy this.
Yeah.
I said, the only thing is, partner, there's 57 stairs to get from the sidewalk up to the top flat.
Wow.
And he had a bad knee, which everybody knew, which is one of the reasons why he was going to the 49ers for his last year to play.
Right.
And he had a terrible season that season, by the way.
Right.
Did not play well, but he had a bad knee. So anyway, they meet me at the place there. And Nicole is there. Of course, I didn't even know who she was. Like, I had no idea who this person was. She looked to be about 21, 22 years old. He introduces me. This is my girlfriend, Nicole. All right. We go up. We see the place. He loves the place. Wants to make an offer on it right away. I can't remember the price. This is 1979, I guess.
Right.
8 or 9. This is one of the best areas of San Francisco. Okay. And Russian Hill. Okay.
Oof.
And it was either, I know this sounds crazy, it was either 137,000 or 237,000. I really don't remember. I think it was 237, but I'm not positive. It was a lot of money back then. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
And so long story short, he says, I want this place. Here's my lawyer's information, blah, 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 this and that. This guy, Skip, I can't remember his name. It was the lawyer that after the murder of Nicole and after the case was over, he was the lawyer that offered $1 million to anybody that could find the murderer.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he should have paid himself, right? I found him. It's OJ.
Right.
But anyway, so he buys the place, okay, and I find out Nicole's his girlfriend, and I find out she's like 18 years old. Okay, and we became, kind of buddies. They came up a couple of times, blah, blah. And so during escrow, I tell OJ, listen, you got to do a couple things the owner's going to let you do. You got to go buy window coverings before you move in, because in this particular part of San Francisco, a lot of people can see from their window into other people's windows, because there's these views of the bay and it's gorgeous and this and that. So I tell him, let's go ahead and order some window coverings. So when you move in, people. And number 2 is because he worked he did commercials for Hertz, as you probably remember,
Right.
where he's going across the airports and going.
Yeah.
And he would typically have a Lincoln Continental, I believe, as a rental car. I tell AJ, do not bring a rental car like a Lincoln. Get a small little car, because the garage that goes with this apartment is just a little garage for a medium-sized car. Okay.
Right.
Long story short, we're going to move him in that day, right? He brings in a Lincoln.
Of course.
He opens up the garage door. He says, Aaron, I can't fit the car. And I said, OJ, I told you.
No shit.
Okay. Anyway, that day I remember distinctly. There was some professional boxing match on. I don't remember what it was. And Nicole and I were playing backgammon, which was very big in those days. And we're watching the game. And OJ's looking out the window and he says, I'll be right back. I'm going downtown. We go, OJ, where are you going? He goes, I'll be back. So, all right, so he leaves. And now remember, I want to tell you something very interesting, because in getting to know OJ after this and moving down to Los Angeles and hanging out with him at the time, one of the most jealous people I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
Obviously.
This
guy let me be alone with his 18-year-old girlfriend, and he didn't know me very well at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's put it this way: you're one of the few of the less creepy of men, and I think other
that he knew. You mean?
It out. Yeah, they creeps can sniff out creeps, and if you don't have that creep smell,
okay. Well, that's very kind of you to say. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, he comes back about 2 hours later.
Okay? Oh yeah.
Starting to get dark. By the way, there's no window coverings because he didn't order them.
Of course, didn't listen to you.
Huge bay windows, through the whole apartment, blah, blah, blah. And he comes up with this box about 4 foot high, I don't know, maybe not quite a foot wide. I know what's in that box when I see it. And I go, hey, OJ, what's in the box? He says, well, it's a telescope. I said, telescope? What's a telescope for? He goes, well, you see those people over there? They're all looking in with binoculars. They were. You could see these people, looking in binoculars right into his face. He says, I'm going to look back at them. I said, OJ. Now, by the way, Nicole gets it too. She's 18 and she's getting this.
And she's even like,
right.
Oh,
I go, OJ, you can't see people across the street with that. He says, no. He says, I went down to Abercrombie and Fitch, and they told me this was the best thing to use. Oh, really? Okay. So he goes, would you help me set it up? I go, OJ, look, I'm watching the boxing. I'm playing backgammon with Nicole. You set it up.
Wait, time out. I'm so sorry. Did you say Abercrombie and Fitch? Was that originally
That was a department store. Okay, before.
You probably just blew the minds of Gen Z and beyond.
Yeah. It was kind of like, if you're from San Francisco, you would know Gumps, Gumps. It was kind of like a fancy store with fancy things. Okay.
So Abercrombie and Fitch, and I'm assuming the clothing store took that name, or was it the same? You don't know.
It has to be. It
has to be the same name, and they just became a weird, like, niche preteen clothing line store eventually.
Right, with a smelly.
But they had That's insane. I'm sorry I had to interrupt, but that was a very interesting.
Yeah. Now I don't know if I'm correct. I think the store went out years before the clothing store started. I might be wrong.
Probably. We'll have to do some digging now that we know that.
Right. Some fact checking.
Some fact checks.
Anyway, I tell him, I says, OJ, I'm watching the boxing match, and I'm playing backgammon with Nicole. I'm not helping you. He goes, okay, I'll do it myself. About an hour and a half later, I'm not exaggerating, he finally puts it together. And he looks through the thing and he says, Aaron, come over here. It's blurry. So I go, okay, OJ. So I go over there and of course, I aim it towards the stars. And I go, oh, it's not blurry anymore. Look inside. So he looks inside, of course, but I'm trying to look at the people. So finally, I had to I am telling you the truth. That is a true story. I am not exaggerating.
You got to explain how a telescope works.
And let me tell you what OJ said to me one day. And this will explain it all. He said to me, the only thing that I ever learned at USC, you ready for this, was class. And I'm like, yeah, that's the only thing, if you even learn that. Because you didn't learn anything about telescopes.
And his definition of class was generally not very, it was classist. It was well, you know.
His definition of class is being white.
Well, exactly. Okay. And racist. Because in
his mind, he was white.
Yeah, no, that became a whole, no,
he even said it. He even said it one time. There was a quote, but anyway, I don't want to go into that. Long story short,
of course,
that's just one of the OJ stories that I'll be telling along the way. But yeah, it was, and I'm just telling you that in my experience with him, it wasn't that he was a stupid person.
No,
he was definitely uneducated because he didn't, do anything in college.
And blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, blissfully ignorant. And listen, he was a little punk when he was a kid and teenager, robbing people and stuff. People don't know this guy. He was a bad little boy there.
Bad little boy. He was a bad little boy.
Yeah, and then he became a bad little man.
And you know what he said? You know what he said to everyone? He said, "Throw me something, mister."
Exactly.
Because that's how old he is.
Anyway, he's not just like a little huggy bear type guy, if you know what I mean, right? It's not that you want to come. And I will say this, and won't tell you the whole story, but when we used to go out together with Nicole here in San Francisco, because they lived together. She lived with him when he played for the 49ers.
Right.
And by the way, he was still married to his wife, Marguerite.
Of course. Still
married at the time.
Yeah.
I don't even think, I might be wrong, but I don't even think they were in divorce at that point. I don't recall. Okay. And when I used to take her to the 49er football games. Mm-hmm. Nobody else could take her but me.
You were her babysitter.
I would take her to the games. We would have the seats, of course. In front of me and Nicole were the following people. His father, who was divorced from his mother, by the way, at that time.
Right.
He was a wonderful man, really sweet man. He worked at General Hospital, as I recall. I think in the cafeteria, if I'm not mistaken. And he was a tenant of the company of DeWolf. That when I worked for the company, he was a tenant long time ago. Okay.
Right.
Anyway, and so OJ's mother was sitting next to him, and then Marguerite, his wife, and at that time 2 kids, because one of the kids died in a swimming pool, drowned, a girl named Aaron, by the way, and OJ, I believe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and his I think he blamed his wife for the rest of the kid, for the thing, whatever. I don't remember the whole story.
I had no idea. That can screw with someone.
Yeah. But anyway, here his girlfriend and me are, and everybody knows who everybody is. It's not like this is
right.
This is how outrageous this guy was.
Right.
Here's my girlfriend. Here's my wife.
Right.
Crazy. All right, anyway, enough of OJ.
The people got what they wanted. No, I mean, listen. You have a lot of stories that we're gonna probably keep bringing up from your past with celebrity run-ins. Just in general, your endeavors in life are quite tales to tell.
Well, something came up this morning. Something that I was going through the internet looking at something. I saw Yellowstone. Oh, right. I know what it was. The television program Yellowstone.
That's right. That's right.
And now there's an offshoot, 1923, I think, is an offshoot of that.
It has to be, I think.
I don't watch it, but it's really good from what I hear.
Yeah.
Reminded me of a story that George and I, one of my best friends, I've known him for 60 years, right? We used to go, we took this trip 3 different times. We San Francisco to Reno to Salt Lake City, Salt Lake City up to Yellowstone National Park. Bless your little heart. Bless your little heart. And then we go up to Canada, and then we make a left, head west. Anyway, George and I are at Yellowstone. This has to be around 1970, something like that, okay? And in those days, I don't know what they do now. I don't even know what the story is now. When you saw a bunch of cars on the side of the road, that meant there was a bear sighting, and people would pull over, get out of their car, take pictures, like idiots,
Of course.
And these are black bears, not just brown bears. I mean,
Yeah.
badass black bears. Okay. And so George and I pull over, but we don't get out of the car. We're watching.
Yeah.
And here's what we see. There's a mobile home. There is a man sitting in the driver's seat and his wife sitting next to him. I couldn't see at the time, but later saw she was wearing a Chicago Cubs baseball hat. Okay?
What a joke.
The guy gets out of the car, out of the mobile home, leaves the door open, has marshmallows, a package of marshmallows, sees the bear, starts throwing the marshmallows at the bear, and as the bear is grabbing the marshmallows, he's taking the marshmallows closer to the mobile home to the point where the door is open. He leaves the package of marshmallows on the driver's seat. The wife is still sitting in the car, calm as a cucumber. The bear goes into the seat with his ass sticking out this way. His paws are inside. He's eating the thing, and the guy is taking pictures of the bear and the wife. True story. Wait a minute. True story.
Okay, now listen.
Yeah.
I know this might be a controversial question.
Yes.
And I can take it out if it is.
Yeah.
But was their skin color the color of paper?
If you're asking me if they were Caucasians, the answer is yes.
There's your answer.
So he's taking the pictures, right? And the bear,
perhaps Russian.
the bear. I mean, he's just eating the marshmallows. He's not paying attention to the wife or the guy. Blah blah blah.
That's
now, wait
insane.
a minute. Wait a minute. He says something to his wife I couldn't hear. She gets out of the car. He just lightly pushes the bear's butt, kind of in, and the bear just gets right into the mobile home, and he shuts the door.
What did they do to that poor bear?
Now remember, there's no mobile phones. There's no cell phones.
There's no help.
70, there's there's not like there's
it's
a
just your
phone
face
at Yellowstone. By mere coincidence, maybe, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, the bear's still in the mobile home. You can't see him now because he's crawling through the back, I guess. The mobile home's kind of shaking, but he's not trying to get out.
No, I mean, he's got marshmallows.
Grabbing food, I guess.
Probably.
A park ranger comes up in a pickup truck, pulls out a gun, tells the guy, get away from the thing, calls somebody, and about 10 minutes later, this bear trap truck. No, it was good.
Oh.
Basically, what they do is they back this truck up to the door of the mobile home, right. And it has an iron gate, and the gate is open, and there's a bunch of meat,
Oh, they lured.
They open up the thing door, the bear goes into the gate.
Okay, so they kept him alive and well.
Kept him, took the bear, arrested the couple with a Chicago Cubs hat.
Come on. Are you kidding me?
When she came out, that's right. When she came out of the truck,
you saw it.
We saw the Chicago, and George and I were looking at each other, go, "Can you a Chicago Cub?" True story.
That's hilarious. Now tell me if I'm wrong, and I could be mixing up stories here. Yeah. I know you went on this trip multiple times.
Yes.
This was one of those trips was where you met Diana Ross, right?
No, that was in Hawaii.
That was Hawaii. But didn't she perform?
In Lake Tahoe.
And you went there for that trip.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Diana Ross.
Yeah! I love this story.
My buddy Ron and I go to Hawaii for the first time ever. We went to Waikiki, which, at that time we thought it was phenomenal. Now I think it sucks. because you know we like Maui, right?
Of
Obviously.
course.
I mean, Waikiki looks like San Francisco with palm trees now. I mean, it's just
Well, I mean, it's yeah, and that's our fault. That's
yeah,
our fault. You know.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, we were on this trip. His father was the president of the San Francisco Barbers Union, so it was one of these barber union flights, you know, where if you remember the union, and we got to go. Anyway, so one day we rented, you know, like little mopeds, you know,
right,
and we drove out to Diamond Head, and at that time they had, can't remember the name of the hotel. It's something else now, I think. I can't remember the name of the hotel. Very famous hotel. They had, I know they had dolphins that were swimming underneath the hotel.
Ooh.
I don't know what it is because I don't go to Waikiki. I'm sure it's still there. It's probably a different name. Doesn't make a difference. Anyway, we walk in. We're going to have brunch. We sit down. We have brunch. My friend Ron says to me, Aaron, very calmly, he says, Aaron, Diana Ross is over there.
Oof.
Sure enough, it's Diana Ross. Okay, no big deal. So anyway, they walk by, end of story. We finish our meal. We go out the front of the hotel. We start to go down the stairs to get on our mopeds, and we see Diana Ross and this woman and the two kids. So we said to her, Diana. And she just kind of, you know, waves like this, very, very politely, blah, 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 blah. And she says, come over here. So come over there, and she says, you know, you look a lot like my husband. To me. Okay? Now, she's had, I don't know, I think 3 husbands, 2 or 3, I can't remember. The last guy was a Swiss guy, whatever. This guy was, I believe, an Iranian Jew, I think, actually, believe it or not.
I mean, imagine hearing that, though.
Beard, the thing, but okay, whatever.
You look like my husband from one of the most beautiful, talented... Okay, continue.
So she says, where are you guys from? We go, San Francisco. She says, oh, I'm going to be playing in Tahoe sometime that summer, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you guys come and see me? She wasn't like inviting us. You know, no. She said, come and see me. So you know I was going.
Of course.
So we go, can we motorcade you back through town? Sure. So we got our moped. She was in the limo, and we went in front, you know. Not a big deal. All right, not a big deal. And
no, that's sweet.
I don't know, a month later, whatever it is, a bunch of us went up to Lake Tahoe, and I booked the, what do they call it? The cocktail show? Whatever. There's a show before with no food, and then there's one, I don't know what they used to call it, but I booked both shows. Now, I'm playing on the casino, and for the first time ever, I'm winning. Ever. But I got to go to the show, which thank God I did. So we go to the show, we watch the show, and on the first show, she asks for a man to come up from the audience. You know, can somebody come with the audience? And she picks a guy, and a guy goes up, and she interviews him. They do a little dance together. And blah, blah. So I'm like, we're ready for that second show. So I pay this guy, I'll never forget, $30, which, I mean, it was a pretty good sized tip back then. It wasn't gigantic, but back then it's good enough tip as you got to get me up front. So they did. And my party, they put us up front right by the stage and everything. But I forget. Harrah's, I think it was at Harrah's. I can't remember, whatever. And before, when she starts to say, oh, I'd like to have some, I just jumped on the stage. I just get on the stage. Oh, she goes, oh, like this, like this. She goes, what's your name? My name is Aaron, blah, blah, blah. Where are you from? San Francisco. She turns to the audience and she says, audience, you're not going to believe this, but I met this gentleman, she called me, last month in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And I told him that he looked like my husband. She says, but what's even crazier is, and she says, honey, stand up. And her husband stands up. And he is wearing the exact suit that I'm wearing. I mean, exactly, which was a velvet burgundy sports coat.
Whoa.
With a gray vest and gray pants. He's wearing the same. Now, I'm not saying it's the same suit, like from the same manufacturer.
No, but like the same thing, style.
And in those days, we wore velvet thick.
Unbelievable.
Now, what's funny about that story is, how did I get that suit? I had a girlfriend who boyfriend was, forgot his name now. He was a Dennis Baca. Dennis Baca. He was a one of the top dragster. You know, the fast quarter mile cars. Those really, you know, the low cars. They look like jets.
Right.
He was one of the top dragster racers in the world. I think he was number 2. I think the woman was Cha Cha Muldoon. A woman was the fastest in the world. Anyway, this girlfriend of mine, she was several years older than mine, used to brag how he taught her how to race, and she could beat me in a race. And I said, okay. So we decided, let's go down to Malibu 500. You know, those little kind of things. What do you want to race for? Race for an outfit. Long story short, we go down there. I beat her. She takes me to the clothing store in Sausalito. I can't remember. Really fancy. And I picked out that outfit was $900 in 1976. I think
You cleared her wallet out.
You better believe it. I cleared her clock out. Okay. Anyway, and so, you know, it was kind of a cool thing, right? The guy said, what are the odds?
Right.
Right. Anyway, so that's
unbelievable. I mean, I'm telling you, this is why I brought it up. Your life's a movie.
Listen, I can make up so many stories you have no idea.
No, and it's funny because it's like, you know, as I go through these experiences, like since I've come to LA, I've had like the funniest amount of run-ins myself that of course I'll get into. But it's like I am just like your little, you know, Gen Z version of you.
Exactly.
Gen Z girl version of you. I mean, we're even wearing the same color right now. Did we plan this? No, we just got on camera and are wearing the same green.
Listen.
It's like I'm part of your genetics or something.
If you live in Manhattan or you live in Beverly Hills, right? You know, you bump into famous people. I mean, you just
that's another thing. Yeah,
you have to go to the places where they are. But
on top of that, I also think we have just like a funny family luck with certain situations where we're at the right place, right time.
Beverly Hills Hotel.
Let's talk about it.
Which we stopped going to.
Obviously.
And the reason why we stopped going to it was
the Sultan of Brunei is still a fully, I think, owns, well, and I think he owns whatchamacallit. He owns more than the Beverly Hills.
It's called the Dorchester Collection.
That's right. Yeah.
And he owns the Beverly Hills Hotel. He owns the Dorchester in London and in Paris. You know, he's got a lot of these hotels, and we used to go as a family every year, right? You know, we'd go to Disneyland. Oh, we got to tell the underwear story.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Okay. But anyway, we go to Beverly Hills Hotel because I used to go when I lived in LA, of course,
right?
And I met the guy that ran the Polo Lounge. Okay, there was actually 2 guys, but the one we know is Pepe, and that's who you knew.
Love him.
Greatest guy in the world.
The sweetest.
And anyway, so we stopped going to Beverly Hills Hotel because Sultan Brunei has all of these homophobic laws, these terrible things that you can stone gay people. And so we stopped going, as did most of the people, believe it or not, that used to go to the hotel for about 3 or 4 years.
For a while.
They lost their ass. But this guy's so rich, people were trying to buy the hotel from him. He wouldn't allow it.
Right.
But anyway, we haven't gone since.
Yeah.
But when we used to go, and this is as a family, I didn't even get this treatment when I was single and going to the Polo Lounge. As a family, you and your sister and Mom and I, we used to go to the Polo Lounge, and Pepe used to give us the Howard Hughes table, as you well know, which is the table in the corner of the bar.
Yep.
Which had the only table at that time had a telephone, a landline telephone, which was cool when I was younger.
Of course, but even after, it's like vintage.
And he would.
It's a table where everyone can see you. That's why. That's where all the celebrities go.
And when we came in, if that table was vacant, he sat us there, right?
And we have had some people walk in while we were there.
So one night we're there, and what we used to do is we used to go out for dinner, right?
Right.
Then we'd call in to the pole lounge about an hour before, and we'd order what?
Chocolate, not fondue. Why
Chocolate souffles.
souffle?
And by the time we got there, they were ready to come on the table.
Because it was like a 45-minute thing.
So in walks, what's his name?
Michael Bolton.
No, Michael Bolton was already there sitting next to us.
That's right.
The little nebbish,
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Who I met years later at a property of mine when he was looking to do a movie, which we'll tell that story another time. Woody Allen walks in there with his daughter. Oh, excuse me, his wife. Oh, no, it's the same thing. I'm sorry. He married his wife's daughter.
Yeah.
Adopted daughter.
God.
Okay.
God bless them both.
Walks in and so I go to you guys and go, hey, look who's over there, Woody Allen, you know. And so we see him talking to Pepe, right?
Yeah.
And Woody is pointing over to the table
where we're sitting.
And Pepe's shaking his head like this.
Like,
going,
not
no,
happening.
Right?
Right.
And sitting next to us is who? Michael Bolton. And I don't know, maybe his manager. I don't remember who it was. And the guy. And
I thought he was with. No. Never mind. I'm thinking of someone. Continue.
He looks over our table. Right, big smile on his face. He looked at us like, kind of like, who are you guys? You know, who are you guys, right?
Right.
And I go, we're nobody.
Absolutely. No, I know that's, and you know, of course, that's like our signature. You know, because when we would go to you know, some of these nicer restaurants and paparazzi were out there, and I still get this every now and then, depending on the outfit I wear. There's some amateurs who will just like take shots of whoever, you know, is dressed a little bit nicer. And so right. I remember in middle school, I was I was in like my Lady Gaga era. So I'd wear like the tutus. It was almost like even like Madonna like too, you know, where it's like I did that whole like I wore Hot Topic stuff. So I did kind of look, you know, I
older than you were.
Older than I was and out of the ordinary. So like if, you know, if they were to assume I was anyone, it would make sense because I was a little more eccentric. So we were going to, I think, Katsuya, I want to say. Yeah. And some guy.
The original Katsuya.
The original. The OG. Which, by the way, they're going to open one in
Century
City. Thank God. It's going to be so good. And so the paparazzi guy takes a picture of me. And he goes, are you famous? And I say, not yet.
Right.
Because, you know, manifesting where.
You're 13, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's, I mean, I love, but I, you know, every now and then I'll get that where, you know, if I'm going to Craig's or something, they're, you know, they do it just in case because
right.
They, you know, you never know.
Listen, do you remember when we were at the pool one day at the Beverly Hills Hotel? And the guy that used to be, I believe, something like 50 years, this guy was the head of the whole pool thing. Sven. Remember Sven? He ran the pool, right?
Oh my God, yeah, okay. Wow.
He became like an ambassador to the Beverly Hills Hotel after.
That's right.
Okay. And we're sitting, and next to us is, what's his name, the comedian?
Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey, who lived, you know, up here, right?
Right.
And he's by himself.
Right.
Okay. And that day at the pool were the Olsen twins.
Right.
Michael Bolton and Nicolette Sheridan.
Nicolette Sheridan. There you go.
They were married or going together. I forgot.
They were. I think they were going together at the time, and that's why they weren't at dinner together, but they were at the pool. That's where I was thinking.
Right.
Earlier.
The cook, the chef, the English chef,
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
In a hot tub with his kids.
Right. And you're swimming with
not Dana Carvey. Carson Kressley.
Carson Kressley. And there was somebody else famous there that day. I can't remember.
Tommy Hilfiger. Who looked like a bum, but that's another story.
Right?
Yeah.
Dana Carvey gets on the phone with his wife and says, honey, you got to come down here. You can't believe how many celebrities are at this pool. I mean, even he was like, I mean, everybody. Oh, by the way, not Whitney Houston. I apologize. Not true. Nat King Cole's daughter.
Natalie Cole,
Natalie
right?
Cole was staying at the hotel. She wasn't at
At
the
the
pool, but she was
time.
staying at the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, staying at the hotel that day as well.
And
And
was that
Shaq,
the same year you saw Chandler from Friends, or that different year?
different year. And
Oh.
Shaq,
And Shaq.
who wasn't playing for the Lakers anymore, right?
Yeah.
Came in and his room was next to our room, right?
Right.
I walked out in the morning to get some coffee or something, and Shaq's walking out. Hey, Shaq,
Right.
what's going on? I mean, that was a pretty busy day, but anyway, yeah, that was at the pool.
Yeah,
And
no.
Dana Carvey's on the phone, which
Telling everyone.
He's the last person I would think would know or care or like.
I feel like
you
with
know
comedians, it's kind of like gold,
Yeah,
like
yeah, like
it's
look who's
something
here.
to. Yeah, no, I mean, we'd see everyone at the Beverly Hills, and I would like. I mean, it was a guarantee. It wasn't. It was like
Right.
It wasn't something like you go there and never see anyone. It was a guarantee you would see a celebrity there, and like every time there was something. I mean, do you remember seeing Brandy just on the couch, shattered out of her mind?
Yes.
Right next to the Polo Lounge.
What about Nicole Kidman and what's his name at the?
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Stinky Fingers gate. Stinky Finger gate.
We were sitting in the Polo Lounge having dinner, and next to us is Nicole Kidman and the guy from that.
Not Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel.
Whose real name is Mark Sinclair.
Didn't know that.
Now you know.
That's a cool name, Mark Sinclair. Why
would he change it? I mean, Vin Diesel is like
like a thing,
Yeah. But Mark Sinclair, I mean, I don't know.
Continue. And we didn't suspect anything was going on with them romantically or anything. And I think we later read that week that there was some movie they were thinking of doing, but it never happened. I don't know. There was no romance going on there.
Of course.
I don't even remember. Was she married at the time? I don't even remember who she was.
I think she had to have been with Keith Urban at that point.
I don't think so. I don't think he was in the game back then. But whatever, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
She gets up to go to the bathroom. Mom and the other woman that we were with walk behind her. They go into the bathroom, right? Nicole goes potty. Quick one, from what I understand. She walks out of the bathroom. Does not wash her hands.
Doesn't wash them.
Okay? Yep. Goes back to the table. The girls go back to the table.
The little stalkers.
She takes her finger, weirdest thing we've ever seen, dips it into the butter that was on the table.
And that's where she got the nickname Stinky Fingers.
That's why we gave her the name Stinky Fingers.
We called her the name Stinky Fingers. And listen, that changed my, you know what's crazy? That changed my entire opinion. She's an incredibly talented, kind woman. I don't hear anything bad about her in the news, but my entire life I've had this image of her being kind of gross.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's like they were there. They were
Now mind you, yeah. If I wiped her ass, I wouldn't wash my hands either, but that's different.
Anyway, a lot of stories at the Beverly Hills Hotel. We had a lot of fun there.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I pray for the day that there's
he sells that joint.
Because let me tell you, there's so many memories tied to there. Going downstairs for breakfast, there was that Molly Ringwald lookalike who would always serve us, breakfast.
The lady, yeah.
I mean, she even talked like her. Like, it was just like, it was like...
Yeah. Well, well, and we sat at the counter, of course, there all the time.
Yeah. Oh, and then...
James
this
Caan.
is my favorite. Every time, now mind... Okay, so when we go, there'd always be something every year for you to tell complete strangers. And one year in particular, you told basically anyone that was in our vicinity the knife story, which of course you're aware of. I will get into. New restaurant opens, Wolfgang Puck. It's called Cut Steakhouse.
In what hotel?
Ooh.
Beverly Wilshire,
thank you. That would have taken me a second. Incredible bread, incredible steak, incredible service. I mean, in fact, thinking about it now, it blows my mind why I haven't been back since. But there was one problem, you see. the knives couldn't balance on the plate. Now, for your average Joe, this wouldn't really be a problem. It would be
Excuse
an
me one second.
inconvenience.
I'm getting charged up because
You're
last
getting
time.
charged up. No worries.
Okay, go
Your
ahead.
average Joe would not really care about, oh, where'd you go?
Oh my God. Well, that's gonna
There
forget
you are.
that. Go ahead.
So your
We are
average
such
Joe.
amateurs. I love.
I know. It's the quirks of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one cares if a knife doesn't really balance on your plate, whether you're at a steakhouse or not. Now, I get it. You're at a steakhouse. The knife, where do you put your knife? Well, after you eat, on the plate. You don't want it falling in. These plates were kind of they got fancy plates, like these long, round, fancy plates that made it really hard for a knife to balance. And our waiter had to get an earful from this one over here.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just our waiter. It was everyone we encountered on that trip who had to know that Cut Steakhouse, their steak knives do not balance on their plates.
Okay. Mom and I have been going to Wolfgang Puck restaurants since they opened. On our honeymoon, we went to his first restaurant, which was on Sunset Boulevard, right?
Right.
Where Mom had a heart attack because there was a unisex bathroom, and coming out of the bathroom was John Derek, who we mentioned last week, right?
Yeah, what are the odds?
Right. And Mom comes back to the table. You'll never believe who I saw, John Derek. He's so gorgeous, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, when we go to Cut, we see Mom's favorite, Ariel and I, we see Prince.
Prince is out there.
And
Cut.
Mom's busy talking to Wolfie, getting, the Wolfie treatment. And so we don't interrupt, and she gives us an earful because we didn't stop her to tell her that Prince. Now all I saw was his tight little ass. I didn't really see.
I don't know. When I saw him, I go, "What is he even doing at a steakhouse? He doesn't eat." This guy.
No. Yeah, that he eats. He ate. He did eat. But
wait.
Yeah, no. I just remember him being small and like having some cake in the back.
Yeah. Okay. Going to Wolfgang Puck's restaurant since it's opened.
Right.
Wolfgang Puck used to see us every year. He doesn't know our names, but he recognizes us. He's very good about going around when he's at his restaurants to all the tables. He really is great about that.
Well, I was convinced when I was a kid he was a family friend because he he would always be like, "Hi, how are you guys? Great seeing you." You know.
Yeah, and he would remember who we are.
Of course.
Which is cool. We were fine, but everybody. I mean, he was
right.
Okay, and one year, I think it was actually the year that we were there with the knife, and I'll get in a little more detail about the knife in a minute, but we went down to Disneyland, as we always did first, right? Went to Disneyland, and then we go up to Beverly Hills, and Wolfgang had opened up a restaurant in California Adventure.
Right.
Which was a complete fail. Okay? The restaurants that are in downtown Disney, and there's about, 15 of them, 15 restaurants in that downtown Disney.
Right.
About 8 or 9 of them are owned by Patina. Okay?
Right.
This guy that opened up Patina Restaurants, which was an unbelievable restaurant in LA and blah, blah, blah. And he ended up opening up downtown and made a fortune. Okay?
Right.
A fortune. So when Wolfgang comes around to our table to say hello to us, I go, "Hey, Wolfgang, we were just down, downtown Disney and saw all your buddies' places. This guy is making a killing."
Mm-hmm.
And he says to me, yeah, but he's like a corporate chef. I go, "Wolfgang, you invented the word corporate chef," which he did. I mean, he was the first chef to go corporate, and he's telling me that he was just simply jealous that this guy was so successful, right?
Oh, well, but also, yeah, you're right. It's also just one of those things where, like, you kind of, flung that on him too.
Oh no, I purposely flung it on him, okay?
Yeah.
Because Wolfgang's got a little attitude, as you well know.
Of course.
But
I mean,
let's
yeah.
go back. But let's go back to the knives just for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Beautiful knives. Really felt great in your hand. It was something that you could cut a piece of steak with so easily. And so
Right.
my mother taught me, after each bite, you take your knife and you put it across the top of your plate. I would put the knife on the top of the plate. It kept falling down. It kept falling down. It kept falling down.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
we were simply just angling ourselves. It was still going. It was going in the plate, but it stayed on the plate.
Yeah. So I call the waiter over. I says, listen, my friend. I says, I know
he is not your friend.
That Wolfgang Puck must have spent a lot of time and effort picking out just the right knife for this steakhouse. And this is one fine knife. I go, but sir, my mother taught me when I cut a piece of meat, I take that knife and I put it on there and it's falling down every time. So he said, well, I'm really sorry, sir, blah, blah, blah. No, I just want to point it out to you. And they gave us a free dessert, as you remember. That's what they
were doing. But he also did a line of Coke in the bathroom after you said that.
Right. But look, here's my point. I was so bothered by the fact that this highfalutin fancy steak restaurant can't put...
Oh, we know you were bothered because you told everyone who was in our vicinity. I mean, we would be sitting having breakfast, having a normal family conversation, and you just be eyeing the couple next to us. And you go, all right, so I went to the Cut. Cut, the new restaurant, Beverly Wilshire. And it would come out of fucking nowhere. And these people, these victims.
Okay. Look,
you picked out of the crowd how to hear. And now, it's funny. We mentioned the Beverly Hills. We mentioned Disneyland. We didn't even mention why we brought these things up in the first place, which is when we, one year, went from Disneyland, leaving to go to the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Oh, yes.
After we're checking out of the hotel.
Yes.
Ariel and I run to the back of the seats of the car.
Yes.
And see a pair of used Disney boxer undies.
So you guys get in the car. One of you, I can't remember who, Dad, there's underwear in the back of this car. Get out of that car. You guys get out of the car. I go in the back of the car. I see these Mickey Mouse boxer shorts used in the back of our car. So I called it.
He smelled them. That's how he knew they were.
I called the head valet. I asked the who's your manager. They bring the man. Very nice guy. Blah blah blah. And I said to him, come here, let me show you something, buddy. I open up the door and I says, what do you see there? He says, oh, it's underwear. I go, yeah, it's Mickey Mouse used boxers. So I said, here's what I know, my friend. When we got to this hotel and we brought this car to the valet, you guys and only you had complete control of my vehicle until it was driven up just today. So that means that somebody, we don't know who, had sex in the back of my Ford Explorer and forgot his underwear, and I am not a happy camper. He says, what would you like us to do about it, sir? I go, listen, I want to put a claim in. This is ridiculous. I got these young girls that are probably going to be completely devastated by the fact that they'll never want to go to Disneyland again because it'll remind them of these dirty old underwear. So he says to me, I can send you a claim for it. I said, no. Here's what you do. We're going up to Beverly Hills Hotel. When they give you the room in those days, I don't know what they do now because they used to get. You have a fax. You had a telephone number and a fax number. Your own number. I says, here's the number. I want you to fax it up. We got up to that hotel that day. Wasn't it my birthday?
It had to
because they didn't have our room ready, and they gave us that big room.
That's right.
Right. We get to the hotel. I didn't know this, but Mom had a birthday cake ready.
Right.
To be in the room that we were supposed to be in. Right. That room was unavailable. They were so cool about it. They gave us a suite. Remember, with that huge deck?
Right.
Right. brought the cake, brought the champagne, blah, 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 free. Everything was free.
Right.
Anyway, and I get to that hotel room. They switch over the name and the thing, and boom, there's the fax. I fill out the fax. I fax it back to them. Okay. I get a phone call I don't know if I got a phone call or I called. I can't quite remember how the connection was made, but somehow I get on the horn with them. And I tell them what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And I says, what is our famous?
2 free nights.
2 free nights. That's the Sinelnikov famous expression. When the hotel screws up enough.
Which they have.
2 free nights is our thing.
Yeah.
I want 2 free nights. She says, no, $150 is what our offer is. That's it. You have 6 months from the time that it happened to claim it, or else you get nothing.
Which, now that you think about it, is an extremely small amount, because if you think about it, if you clean your car completely and still, it still doesn't really cover everything that they screwed up.
Not only that, but this is like a really bad thing that happened at Disney.
Terrible. Also, did they even inform you about like who it could have been if they were fired? So it's like there's none of that.
Never.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's my point. So they said 100. So I'm thinking to myself, they're going to change their mind. So I'm waiting. 2 days before the 6 months is up, I'm figuring they're not giving me anything but $150.
Right.
So I call them up. I'll take that money.
But no, that's what you do. You wait till the last second to see if they cave.
Yeah, because that's what you do. That's what you do in lawsuits all the time, right?
Right.
The day before the court starts.
Right.
Anyway, that was a funny story down there, man.
Oh my God, yeah. No, we have a lot of Disneyland and LA stories.
How long have we been going on today? Because I can't see how long.
Oh, we're over an hour now. It's
One more quick story, Disneyland story.
Let's talk about it.
Contractor that works with our company, does a lot of work for our company.
Right.
His son's girlfriend and another relative go down to Disneyland. Long story short, they get on that bear ride where the water and the bear...
Grizzly Adventure.
What is it?
California Grizzly Adventure.
California Grizzly Adventure. They get on that ride. And I've never been on that ride. I know you guys have.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bar in front of you, right? I don't think there's seatbelts.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
Anyway.
Because it's like you're just in this tube thing.
He's sitting in front, the very front of this thing, his son. And he didn't want to get wet.
Which is like you have no choice.
So he stands up, which I guess you're able to do. He stands up.
Yeah.
Over the microphone. This one. Sit down immediately. They push a button. The entire ride stops. Completely stops. Okay. Sit down. Everybody stay in. Blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, there's a helicopter above. They are emptying all the water out of this ride. You know how many thousands of gallons of water that are empty out of the ride? The fire department comes. They have the ladders. The first people that get out is my contractor friend.
Right.
Like, this is like the walk of shame.
Yeah.
Because most people really don't know what happened, but the people behind them do.
Know exactly and know it's their fault.
They take them off one by one on the ladder.
Oh my God.
They get off the ladder, and my friend says to the guy, does this mean we're kicked out of Disneyland forever? He goes, no, just for today.
Just for today.
And they escorted him out of Disneyland, and all the people behind them had to, first of all, couldn't do the ride. Second of all, had to get off with the ladder. And third of all,
and then had to wait for it to fill back up.
Yeah.
Now, what gets me about that is there are so many Karens out in this world and so many people that, inconvenience things even further than what that was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because obviously in both of our opinions, that's an over-exaggeration for a kid standing up on a ride, no matter what protocols you have.
Right.
But there are people that do way worse things. So I'm trying to figure out what they even, I guess security, but like what they do in those situations when you have people who, are going to cause a fit. They just get taken off.
Well, they did. And they had about 4 or 5 security.
Oh, ready. Just like, yeah.
Waiting for my friend and his family to, get off the ladders.
Wow.
They were
I wonder how often they have to do that.
I don't know, but they must have
Because
done it
it's
before because they knew what to do.
I know most people know not to stand up in a ride, but it's like kids, like people do things that are just like, like, I don't know. That's
the only way but the only way you could, if you stop the ride,
right.
And the only way you could let people off is when the water's drained.
Right.
Plus, it must be slippery. I mean,
no.
Anyway,
God,
all the years that we've been to Disneyland, we've never seen anything remotely close to that.
I mean, we've had rides stop before, so maybe we didn't know why they've stopped. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, nothing ever like that. We've never experienced anything strange. I mean, yeah, we've had some maybe weird stories we'll remember down the line, but that's insane. They really go out of their way for some strict measures.
Well, listen, sweetie pie. First of all, I think we've gone long enough, haven't we? I mean, I could tell stories forever, but then there's no more podcast. If I tell all our stories together, there won't be anything to say.
Then we got nothing.
So listen, let's remind our viewers how they can watch us and how they get a hold of us.
All right. Talk to you. And Talk to Ya is going to have an exclamation point if you're looking for us. Talk to Ya. We're going to be we're on Apple, Spotify. I upload these onto YouTube if you want to see our pretty little faces. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Talk to Ya Podcast. Twitter and TikTok, Talk to Ya Pod. And then email, talktoyapod@gmail.com.
Okay, boo. Love you. Talk to ya.
Love you. Talk to ya.